Good evening, everybody. My name is Kurt Smythe. I'm Associate Director of Athletics here at the University of New England, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2023 Varsity Club Hall of Fame ceremony, which is one of our signature events of the year in the athletics department. We have four inductees this evening, and at this time I'd like to introduce our men's basketball coach, Ed Silva. He will be presenting tonight's first inductee.
All right, good evening. First, I'd like to congratulate the other inductees tonight. It's an amazing recognition for all the great work that you did here as student athletes. So, kudos to the other three. It's my pleasure this evening to introduce Jim Candemares from the class of 1986. Jim graduated with a bachelor's degree in business and played 4 seasons of men's basketball and men's soccer for the UNE Red Knights between the years of 1982 and 86. In more than 90 career basketball games on the court, Jim totaled 956 rebounds and 1,320 points, numbers that remain 3rd and 12th highest among all-time ranks for the combined histories of St. Francis College, Westbrook, and UNE. As a senior, he was a first-team Western Maine Athletic Conference pick, an All-New England District All-Star after finishing with 511 points and 274 rebounds. Numbers that place him among the NAIA national leaders. Twice during his senior season, Jim dropped 40 points, which places him in the top 10 for points in a game in school history. I'm hoping maybe you have another year of eligibility because we could definitely use those points this year. Jim and fellow Hall of Fame inductee Dean Johnson formed an unstoppable duo during the mid-'80s. And Dean remarked that Jim had a unique way to find rebounds, score the basketball, and had a very high basketball IQ. At this time, I'd like to ask Jim Candemares to please come forward.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the fact that I'm here. Adrian, Holly, Christy, congratulations to you. It's an honor and a privilege to be inducted in at the same year as you guys are. I just want to have a shout-out one for Coach Beaudry. Being his last recruit, he was a great man. He was a foundation of this program. And God bless him. Hopefully he's looking down at us and saying, the last guy is here. I also wanted to do a shout out to Coach Jim Kerr. He was my high school varsity coach, played at St. Francis, personally came to my house and picked me up and drove me up here for my visit. So another shout out to Coach Kerr, who's also in the Hall of Fame here. First 2 inductees. Ed mentioned Dean Johnson. Dean Johnson was a roommate. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of good time playing here. I was so happy when he got inducted last year. And for me this year, it's a great privilege. I also want to thank my family, my lovely wife Liz, and my son Matt and Dan, and my daughter-in-law Jenna, who are here. My daughter, who's on the West Coast, couldn't come out here, and her husband Ilya. I'd like to thank them and everyone else that was in there. So, and last but not least, there's 2 people who I'd love to be here. Their spirit is here. They're up in heaven. They're looking down as my mom and dad. Thank you.
Hello, my name is AJ Stuick, and I'm the head women's soccer coach here at UNE. Congratulations to all 4 inductees. That's really amazing. Our next inductee is Chrissy Foreman, class of 2004. Chrissy is the 2nd women's soccer player to be inducted into the UNE Hall of Fame. An environmental science major, Chrissy was a 4-year starter and 2-year captain while appearing in 70 career games. During her time with the Nor'easters, UNE posted a 26-19-3 conference record, which included a 10-1-1 mark and top seed for the conference tournament in 2000. That year, UNE captured the program's first CCC championship while making the team's first ever NCAA championship appearance. Chrissy had one of the best rookie seasons in school history with 18 goals and 13 assists in 20 games. During the team's three-game championship run, she factored in 8 of the team's 10 goals, including UNE's only CCC postseason hat trick. Chrissy was a 3-time first-team all-conference honoree and still stands as the only Nor'easter in 23 years of CCC membership to be recognized as all-conference 4 times. Chrissy ended her UNE career with 43 goals and 107 points, each holding second place in the program ranks, while her 21 assists are third. At this time, I would like to please ask Chrissy Foreman to come forward. Thank you.
A little short. Good evening, everyone. The first thing I want to do is congratulate everyone who's being inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight. It is such an honor, and I'm so humbled to be receiving this award myself. The first time I met Coach Biggs was at a college showcase game my senior year of high school. After the game, we were walking around the gym talking to coaches from a bunch of different colleges when my dad saw a table for UNE. And if you know anything about my dad, you know that the only thing he loves just as much as soccer is going fishing in Maine. So he asked me if I wanted to go check it out, but I declined, so we left. We had made our way out into the lobby when Coach came running over to talk to us. Not wanting to be rude, we went back in to see what he had to say. When we were done talking, I left with a few pamphlets and a little curiosity about the school, but I still wasn't really that interested in going there. Fast forward a few months, and UNE was now one of my top 2 choices. Now, my parents knew me well enough to know that I hated making big decisions. So my dad told me that it was my choice, but I seemed happier after my visit to UNE compared to the other schools, and that's where he thinks I should go. I'm not really sure if that was the truth or if he just wanted an excuse to spend more time in Maine, but I thankfully took his advice. So that August, I showed up at UNE, fully expecting to put my time in, proving myself on the field before I got to play. Preseason was over, and we were getting ready for our first game. And even as the ref was blowing the whistle to start the game, I was shocked that I was on the field as the starter. I may not have had much confidence in myself then, but Coach always did, and so did my teammates. I never played with a group of people that were so supportive and encouraging before. After that first game, I never had any doubt that I belonged on the field again. UNE was exactly what I needed. UNE may have been a small school, but it was never in short supply of amazing people who always looked out for each other. Coach Biggs was on the top of that list. He would always tell us that if something happened, we should just tell him before he found out on his own. And he always did. He always knew what was going on with each of his players, the good and the bad. His office door was always open, and we were always welcome to stop in. I'm also convinced that he kept his door open just so he could see if I was walking through the gym and call me into his office. He never really needed to talk to me about anything, but he was really slow at typing, and he'd have a lot of emails to send. I think if you were recruited while I was at UNE, I probably sent you all the emails. Whether it was on the field or off, Coach was always there to back you up. I remember one summer, I went running with my brother and sister because we all had preseason coming up, my sister and I in college, and my brother in high school. It didn't matter how hard I ran, I could never keep up with either of them. As I was trailing behind, I kept thinking how lucky I was that I didn't need to pass a time fitness test like they did, because no matter how good shape I was in, I was just too slow. Well, that year, Coach decided we would need to run a mile in under 7 minutes. I was in trouble. So I ran my hardest. When I got to the finish line, he told me I made it in 6 minutes, 59 seconds. Coach, I never brought it up back then, but there's no way I ran a mile in 7 minutes. But thank you for always having my back and supporting me anyway. Now to get to my 2 biggest supporters, Mom and Dad. If there was a Hall of Fame for soccer parents, you would definitely be in it. Between the 3 of us kids, the only way to catch as many soccer games as possible was to divide and conquer. They had a deal that when there was more than 1 game at a time, and there usually always was, my dad would go to whichever game was furthest away, and my mom would go to the game closer to home. Since my brother was still in high school when I started at UNE, my mom usually stayed home and went to his games while my dad spent the weekends traveling around the East Coast going to mine and my sister's. These weren't games close to home either. He's the only person I know who wouldn't think twice about driving 8 hours to go to a soccer game and turn around and drive right back home. And I don't want to leave my mom out. She may not have made it to very many of my games my first year at UNE, but it wasn't because she didn't want to be there. She always made sure that if she could come to a game, she did. There was this one game, my sister had graduated from college by then, and my brother was a senior in high school, and surprisingly didn't have a game himself that weekend. So she decided that no matter what, she was going to come watch me play. She spent days convincing my dad that my brother was old enough to stay home by himself. He was going off to college the next year. He could drive himself to practice in the morning, and it was only one night. It would be fine. She was so excited to come up, until they got a phone call from my brother about a broken window. It was a while before she got to come up for another game after that, at least not until after he had graduated and went off to college himself. Our schedules didn't conflict much that season, so even my mom was able to make it to a lot of games that year. It's a good thing gas was a lot cheaper back then, because I can't imagine how many miles you both drove in the 9 years you had kids playing college soccer. Throughout my time at UNE, I may have scored a lot of goals, set a few records, and won a championship, but most important were the lessons I learned. So thank you to my teammates, thank you to my coaches, and especially thank you to my parents for shaping me into the person I am today. And Mom and Dad, if you ever have to decide who your favorite child is, remember that I was the reason you got to go to Maine all those extra times.
Good evening. My name is Patty Williams, and I am an Associate Director of Athletics and Senior Women Administrator here at UNE. Tonight's next inductee is Adrienne Chase, class of 2015. Adrienne graduated with a bachelor's degree in applied exercise science and was a 4-year standout for the softball team. During her career, the Nor'easters posted a 92, 69, and 1 overall record and a 45 and 25 mark in the Commonwealth Coast Conference play. Adrienne was a model of consistency over her 4 years, recording a batting average between .406 and .420 her final 3 seasons. Adrienne's career batting average of .405 ranks her 6th in that category in program history. In addition, she ranks 3rd in runs batted in and doubles, 5th in slugging percentage, and 6th in hits. Adrienne was a 3-time All-Conference selection in 3 different roles: first team designated player as a sophomore, second team first base as a junior, and second team outfield as a senior. Adrienne received first team All-Region recognition in 2013 and third team All-Region status in 2015 from the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association. In her rookie season of 2012, Adrienne was a clutch performer as the team swept through 4 games on the way to the program's first conference title since 2000. During the winner's bracket final against the tournament's top seed, Adrienne went 3 for 4 and added 4 RBI to help UNE to an 11-0 victory. At this time, I'd like to please ask Adrienne Chase to come up forward for this award. Let me get my notes. A little taller. All right. Good evening, and what an honor it is here to be amongst my peers and recognized by the Nor'easter community for my achievements on the softball field. When I got the phone call from Kurt, I was in the middle of my workday, and I remember just having this huge grin that was stuck on my face for about 3 patients in a row, all who probably thought I was really crazy, followed by sheer panic as I remembered that I was going to have to come up with a speech. See, I was more of a leader on the field by example than one that would be delivering those kind of passionate words to inspire my teammates to play better than their best. Luckily, I had Coach Dan for that one. I wanted to start off by thanking the athletic department and all those work-study students who had to chase down foul balls in early March when there were still snowbanks on the side of the field in what felt like negative 10-degree weather. I'm so sorry. To our athletic training staff for helping me stay on the field. I know that wasn't easy to do, as I was always getting into some kind of trouble when trying to recreate plays that I'd seen on SportsCenter's Top 10.
To my friends, the fans, and all the families of my teammates. Thank you, because I honestly don't think there's a better support system out there in the conference than you all. You're my second family away from home, and it was always an honor playing in front of a fan base that never flinched or groaned when a doubleheader tacked on a few extra innings. To Dr. Bilski, who was our faculty advisor at the time, and my UNE professors, for helping me find the perfect balance of what it takes to achieve my academic goals of now being a physical therapist, as well as my athletic ones. Thank you to Coach Dan, sorry, and all the UNE softball coaching staff for believing in a kid who, mind you, I forgot my glove to my very first practice freshman year. That's kind of important when you're a softball player. That freshman was capable of being a perennial all-star and really believing me. And they also knew the value of what it meant to be a student first in the role of a student athlete. Thank you to my teammates. I couldn't have asked for a scrappier, hardworking, competitive, yet fun-filled bunch of friends in my 4 years at UNE. This award would not have been possible without the support of you ladies. That was the beauty of the game. We always had each other's backs from day one. And to my family, I love you all. I couldn't have asked for better number one fans. Whether it was taking me all my practices as a kid and spending summer vacations in obscure towns in New England during my summer, I'm sure that was not high on the list for ways to spend a summer vacation. Sorry, Les and David, my siblings. To pitching me batting practice in my off season after a long day's work, just so I could get a few extra cuts in to start the season. The commitment and love you shared with me inspired me to be the athlete I was at UNE. A hardworking, game for anything, I got your back kind of teammate. I was going into my senior year in high school when I met Coach Dan. On my recruit meeting, he had sat me down in a small office attached to the campus center gym, where he chatted with me a bit on specifically if I liked the campus food and the school itself. And then in an unprecedented move, he just stepped out, and the senior captains came in and chatted with me. So I could ask the real questions, like, is he really this nice always, or should I run the other way? I would never get the opportunity to play with these ladies, as they would graduate at the end of the season that year. But what was evident and what had sold me on attending the University of New England is how much they loved this program. They loved the school and never felt like they needed to compromise their education for a game or a practice. These players were taking the same classes I'd be taking in the fall, and not only were they succeeding at managing that student-athlete balance, they were indeed thriving at it. Now, it takes some practice to get there, I found out. I wouldn't recommend betting on the fact your teammates were going to knock you in after a leadoff double with 10 minutes to go before I had to make a mandatory class presentation across the quad. To be fair, yes, I did make it on time, and I did score that run safely. I think I blew past Coach Dan's stop signals, but that's okay. The stress was off the charts. However, Coach was understanding of this and was always willing to help when needed. He treated us as if if we were his own and wanted us to succeed off the field as much as we did on it. What I was not warned when I was on that recruit trip is how much snow would be a factor in our seasons. To get the opportunity to practice outside before the season started was less likely than winning the lottery. And the snowbanks in left field come game day in March would give the Green Monster a run for its money. To be a nor'easter, you had to play as tough as one. I had to learn to play through the adversity of the cold Maine springs and was crazy enough to really enjoy it. I would not trade my time on campus here for anything. The lifelong friendships I've made and the joy of bringing home that Nor'easter Community CCC Championship in 2012 for the first time since 2000 was easily a top 5 memory I will cherish for a lifetime. When I was a kid, my dad gave me one piece of advice throughout my life: run through the bag. Well, it turns out you can apply that to just about everything. Well, Dad, I think I've finally crushed it. I've capped off quite the softball career here and ran through that darn bag. Love you all. Thank you. Bye.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Danielle Collins. I'm the head field hockey coach here. First off, congratulations to all of the inductees. It is a special honor to be named into any Hall of Fame, but to be able to spend it with you and your families is just as exciting, and enjoy the night with everybody. I had the pleasure to coach our next inductee, Holly Thibodeau, aka Holly Smith. Holly was not your typical goalie that you usually have on the field hockey team. She's not tall, and she would actually outrun a lot of our field players. She was that kid that would run our fitness test, and she had to run next to a line to make sure that she would actually run straight and not waver all over the place. But it helped her. She was actually one of the ones that would pass our fitness tests, and she did actually pass it. She wasn't faking it. She was one that did make it. But she came back every year, stronger and stronger. This totally made up for her lack of height in the cage. She was agile, she was fierce, she was determined, and she would just get it done. While she was a major competitor for us on the field and hated to lose, she also was the team mom. She was the one that, if someone was having a bad day, Holly was the one that was right there, giving the hugs and making sure that, they were okay and being able to get through the day. Holly was an immediate impact on our team when she came to UNE in the fall of 2013. She did not come here for me. I was lucky enough to actually have her on our team. She came for another coach, but she stepped up right away. We didn't have another goalie. She was it. That was it. So she played in every minute of every game for her first year. Holly ended up starting in all 93 games that she played here at UNE, and as each year went on, Holly only continued to succeed. Her goals against average went from a 1.43 her freshman year to 0.86 her senior year, having her save percentage go from a 0.7 to a 0.84. Her first year, she recorded 8 shutouts, leading to be a CCC Rookie of the Year and a first-team All-Conference. She was also named the ECAC Most Outstanding Player at the ECAC New England Championship, and then she was also the UNE Female Rookie of the Year. Over her last 3 seasons, she recorded 17 more shutouts, was named to the CCC All-Team First Team twice and the Second Team once. Her senior year as a goalie, which typically does not happen, she was named the Defensive Player of the Year, Second Team All-American, and First Team All-Region. Holly single-handedly has helped guide our program into the next level and has been the most accomplished goalkeeper in our program's history. Without Holly in cage, we would not have compiled an overall record of 71 wins, 22 losses, a 46-2 conference record, or have beaten nationally ranked teams. And when it mattered most, the conference championship time, that's when Holly stepped up. We were able to win the 2014, 2015, and 2016 CCC championships. Holly is our program's career leader in goals, goals against average, save percentage, and shutouts. Her 71 victories still to this day rank her second all-time in NCAA Division III history for goalkeepers. Holly was a standout goalie, successful in the classroom, and was a constant pleasure to always be around. As a 2-time captain and the backbone of our program, she helped us become nationally ranked at number 19 her senior year. Holly, thank you for all you've done for our program and continue to subdue as a supportive alumni. Congratulations, well deserved.
Hello, everyone. It is an honor to stand before you as an inductee of the 2023 University of New England Varsity Club Hall of Fame. Thank you to everyone who is a part of the Hall of Fame committee who nominated me to be recognized this evening, alongside these other deserving athletes. It is an accomplishment I will cherish with great pride. As I think back on my years of playing field hockey, the memories always bring a smile to my face. After watching my first ever field hockey game, I turned to my mom and said, "I want to be a goalie." And she looked at me like I was crazy. She goes, "You want to wear that Michelin Man suit while people hit an incredibly hard ball at you at full speed?" And I looked at her and I said, "Yep, I definitely do." And the rest is history. I would first like to thank my parents for their never-ending support of all of my athletic endeavors. Whether it be driving me to practice and games year-round, to flying across the country to watch me play with my club teams, to helping me drag my minivan-sized bag around full of the world's smelliest equipment, they were there through it all. Actually, I think they came to every single game I ever played for UNE except for one, and they thought that we were playing at MIT, but we were playing at home. So they went to MIT thinking they were going to watch me play, and we were not there. But don't worry, I did forgive them. So to my mom and dad, thank you will never be enough. I love you both so much. Thank you to my now husband, Joe, who I don't think ever watched a field hockey game in his life. Started dating my sophomore year, and he may not have known any of the rules or what was going on, but he still showed up to every game to support me. Thank you to Coach Collins, who always pushed me to work harder than I thought was possible and be braver than I wanted to be. You inspired me to be the very best version of myself, to commit my body, heart, and soul into showing up and being a part of an incredible team. You encouraged me to be a leader, even when I was the youngest player on the team. Thank you for your guidance, your leadership, and your friendship. And last but not least, a big thank you to my teammates for the friendship, laughs, lessons, pregame dance parties, and some of the craziest bus rides I had ever been on. We were stranded on the side of the highway once with a smoking bus, just, but we did go to the game and win. Just, that's the priority. But what I would give to suit up and relive the thrill of playing one more game on the field with all of you. Being a UNA field hockey player has forever changed me for the better, and I am so proud to be a Nor'easter. Go UNE.
Great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Heather Davis, and I'm the Director of Athletics. What a special evening this has been. As we kick off homecoming weekend, tonight we have celebrated some of the most accomplished student athletes in the history of their sport programs. As you can tell from each of their remarks and from those who presented them, this is truly a special group. On behalf of the University of New England, it is my honor to officially induct Jim Candemaris, class of 1986, Chrissy Foreman, class of 2004, Adrian Chase, class of 2015, and Holly Thibodeau, class of 2017, into the UNE Varsity Club Athletics Hall of Fame. These four individuals join a select group in our Hall of Fame, and we are so proud of the rich tradition of success enjoyed by the athletic programs of St. Francis College, Westbrook College, and the University of New England. At this time, I would like to recognize other Hall of Fame members who are in attendance this evening. Please stand at this time for a round of applause. Thank you. Our varsity sports program continues to be a source of pride for the university. Not only do our teams excel in the competitive realm, but our students also continue to distinguish themselves in the classroom with exceptional graduation rates and also in returning as engaged alumni. In addition, our club sports teams and intramural offerings are also experiencing record participation and contribute greatly to the fabric of our campus community. Coming up in a couple of weeks, we'll be opening the new esports facility, which is now being built in the campus center, with that grand opening right around the corner. We are coming off an extremely successful academic year in UNE athletics. This was highlighted by our men's hockey team's second consecutive appearance in the semifinals at the NCAA Division III National Championship. Our field hockey team won the CCC Championship for the 5th time in just the last 8 years, while our rugby team and women's cross-country teams finished as runners-up in their respective postseason championships as well. This year, we have many teams off to a fantastic start, including football, starting with a 3-0 record for the first time in their very short program history, Women's soccer is also currently undefeated. Just recently, we have announced that women's golf will be our next varsity sport. They'll have a club season this spring, and their first varsity season will be next fall. We have also just recently announced that we'll be adding men's and women's tennis to be starting in fall of 2025. None of our current and future success would be possible without the strong foundation created by those that came before us from St. Francis College and Westbrook College. Tomorrow, we will celebrate the 20th season of varsity field hockey, and later this year, when we're into basketball season full swing, we'll be celebrating the 50th season of our varsity women's basketball program. Please stay tuned for those details. We hope you'll all join us. Our extreme gratitude goes out to those that have come before us, including those that were honored here tonight. As we conclude tonight's ceremony, I just want to thank you all for being here and being so supportive of UNE athletics, and you're all always Nor'easters. So thank you so much for joining us. And before we close tonight, I would just like to ask the current Hall of Fame inductee class to please come up for any remaining photos. Also, if anyone else would like photos, please help yourself. So thank you all for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend.